Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christine, and I'm part of the RadResponder team at Chainbridge Technologies, which is the contractor for the FEMA CBRN RadResponder program. I'm also joined on this webinar with James Blaze, who is the FEMA RadResponder Program Manager. Jim, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. This is James Blaze. I am the RadResponder Program Manager appointed by FEMA, and I hope you guys enjoy this webinar, and I won't keep talking. Christine, it's all you.
All right, great. Thanks, Jim. So to start, I just want to thank you all for joining us for this RadResponder Special Feature Webinar series. So these special feature webinars allow us to dive deeper on a particular capability in RadResponder that we wouldn't normally be able to cover in one of those new user webinars. So the webinar will be recorded and uploaded to the resource library for you to go back and reference, and that will be uploaded in about a day or so. I just have a quick few notes before we start. So if you have a question at any point during the webinar, you can utilize the question box, which allows you to write in your questions at any time, and we'll be able to answer them. I'll also stop intermittently throughout the webinar to check for and answer your questions. So the purpose of today's webinar is to go over the map filters and layers. So we'll cover including how to unlock those RDD and NPP map features. We'll go over the drawing tool, the responder tracking, uploading and utilizing the GIS layers, and some of the advanced filters. To start, let's go over some of the map basics, and then we'll transition into a live demo of some of the layers and filters on the RadResponder website. So each event in RadResponder has a corresponding map for a geospatial view of the event data. And at any point, you can utilize the Help tab for a quick reference of the map, or to utilize the Map Tour option, which I'll show you all in a second. Another thing to note is that the NPP and the RDD layers must be unlocked at the event creation level or by editing the event details. Okay, and this is that Help tab that I just mentioned. So at the top of the map, when you're in the event map space, there's a Help tab, and you can utilize that to view map symbology, to get a tour of the map, or for any of the questions that you may have. At the top. Okay, so at the event creation level, you need to choose the proper scenario if you want to unlock the RDD or the NPP map options. So it's going to be either your nuclear power plant or your radiological dispersal device to utilize those layers. So if you want to enable that RDD scenario, you'll need to enable it here. And when you select that option, then you can enable the 10-point plan. You can enter the wind direction at the event creation level. You can also go back and edit this on the event map after the fact. So in the coming months, you'll be able to activate the 10-point plan without classifying an event as an RDD scenario. But for now, we do still need to define that scenario in order to enable that 10-point plan. And just as a quick note, we also have another special feature webinar coming up specifically covering the RDD features, and that will be in April, so we'll go more in depth during that webinar. For the NPP layer, all you need to do is select that scenario. There are no additional options at the event creation level, but by choosing that scenario, you'll be able to utilize the NPP layer on the event map. Okay, so just as a quick little snapshot, once those scenarios are selected, then you'll come across those RDD guidance layer and NPP guidance layer options on your event map level, which I'll show you again once we do the live demo. Okay, so just for another quick basics on the map layers. Under each layer, there's a brief description explaining the functions of the layer. So you can see that there under each, there's a brief description. And to enable a layer, you need to toggle the desired layer or layers located underneath that orange main layers tab. Okay. And then once you enable all your desired layers, you'll just click that orange tab to minimize the options and to open up your layers that you just enabled. Okay, I want to briefly go over two of the most basic layers on the event map before we jump into a live demo. So those two most basic layers are the event information layer and the user data layer. So the event information layer is going to allow us to show the release point, the event partners, the facilities, the sampling locations of the event itself. So if I enable all of that, it's going to pop up on the map so I can see my sampling locations. And like I mentioned earlier, if you want to know what each of those symbols mean, just go to that help button and click View Map Basics, and there's a symbology tab at the top, which I'll also show you again, but just as a quick note. Now for the user data layer options, this is where you'll be able to view the submitted data. So you can choose to filter based on the surveys, samples, observations, spectra, responder tracking, and you can turn those on and it'll show up on your event map. Okay, so that pretty much covers our event basics. So now let's dive into the live demo. So you all should have access to the Data Collection 101 event in RadResponder. So if you want to go and open that, I'm going to do so as well. Okay, so I'm going to log in. Let me zoom out a bit. Okay, so let's go into the Data Collection 101 event. So if you weren't already there, you can just click Search for Event, type in Data Collection 101, and we're going to navigate to the event map space, which is on this left-hand side right here. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is the map itself. So we use Google Bing Maps, and you can always change between the road, aerial, or bird's eye view. So pick whatever is your preference. For the training purposes today, I'm just going to stick with the road map to make things easier. Okay. So if you are all in Data Collection 101, I want you to turn off all of your layers to begin with to give us a blank slate. Okay, so I turned off all the layers, and I'm going to click that orange tab to close it. The amount of layers that we do have in RadResponder can get a bit overwhelming, so if we just close them all out at the outset, this will help us start to open up each layer and see what they all do. So like I mentioned earlier, the event information layer and the user data layer options are the most basic, so I want you to turn those both on. So we're going to turn on the event information layer and the user data layer. Okay. Now if I close that orange tab, now I'm going to see that my event information layer options and my user data layer options have populated on this screen. So if I open either one of those, I can say I don't want to see my sampling locations or my facilities, and I can enable whichever options I'd like. Same for the user data layer. Let's say I only want to see surveys. I can uncheck everything else. Okay. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to where the Chainbridge offices are so you can see what it looks like up close. Okay, so now I want you to go back into the layers option and turn on your drawing tool. This drawing layer right here. Okay, and like before, we're going to click on this layers tab to close it, and now we're going to open our user drawing tools. So we have some user drawings that were already created on here since this is our Data Collection 101 event and everyone in RadResponder has access. So we'll just ignore these for now and we'll start creating our own drawings to see how to use that tool. So this drawing tool enables us to create your own geoshapes. You can drop points on the map, and then you can analyze recorded data in a particular area that you've drawn, and we'll show you how to do that right here. So first I want you all to click Begin Drawing. And now you're going to have this drawing tool bar pop up at the top. So here you can change your colors using the color picker for the stroke and the fill. So I'm just going to change it to blue. Then you'll click this Drawing Tools button right here to choose the drawing tool you want to use. So I just want to show you point. Okay, and now we can select the point icon. So we have hundreds of different icons you can choose from. You can pick whichever one best suits your needs. I'll just say right here, this is sort of like a hazard button. We can pop that right there. And I can keep dropping these points until I click Stop Drawing. So you don't have to keep going back to select your point. You can just continuously drop them where needed. Okay. So now I want to click Line. So for the line option, you click the point where you want to begin the line, and each time you click, I'm going to click right here, a new vertex will be added to the line. So I can continue this line until I either hit Escape on my keyboard or that Stop Drawing at the top. Okay, a circle. So for the circle, we're drawing the radius of the circle, and the second click completes the circle. So I'll demonstrate that right here. So I'm drawing the radius, and now my circle has been complete. Okay. And polygon and rectangle are similar. I'll just show you the polygon since that has a bit more flexibility. So again, each time you click, a new vertex is created. And I can draw as many points as I need. And again, either hit Escape or Stop Drawing, and your shape has been completed. So all those drawings that you just created will now be listed under your user drawings right here. Okay? So you can also change the measurement units of the drawings. So as you can see right here, it's shown in miles, so the total area is shown in miles squared. And right here we have each line, it's giving us the miles that it's covering. So let's say I want to see it in meters or kilometers. I can click Show Options, and I can change my distance unit. So let's say I want to see meters, area unit, meters squared, and now it's changing. So keep that in mind. If something's showing a different unit that doesn't really work for you, you can always change that by using that option up there. Okay, I can also save, share, and rename my drawings. So for my line, which is this right here, I'm going to click Save. And now I can enter a name for it. I can enter a description if I need to, and I can choose to share it. So those shared drawings will be available to view by other responders with access to this event. So since we are in Data Collection 101, if I do choose to share it, everyone in the RadResponder network with access to this event will be able to see your drawing. So I'm just going to not share it and hit Continue. And I can do that for my other drawings as well. So I'm going to save the polygon, testing 2. Okay, so with these shapes that we make, we can also click on the shape to open up more details. So here I can see the perimeter, the area. I'm going to open the details. And if I had readings within the shape, I would be able to see different spectra, survey samples, and I'd be able to get more information here. Okay, so I'm going to close out of the drawing layer, and I'm going to disable the layer just to not clutter up the map. Okay, and I'm going to go into a different event right now. So since you all won't have access to this event because this was created during one of our DC RadResponder trainings by a RadResponder user, but this will just be easier for you to see the responder tracking. Okay, so if I went under my layers and I turned on that responder tracking, I would get this red bar right here. So if I open that, all the responders on this event that have enabled tracking will show up here, and I can select to view them or not. So they'll each have their own color. And as you can see right here, I have 3 individuals selected. and I can see their tracking paths right here. And just as a side note, responders will only be tracked if they enable tracking at the device level. So you as the user, you have control of that. Okay. So I'm going to jump back to that Data Collection 101 event. I'm going to go back to the map, and we'll continue going through some of the layers. So you'll notice that we have a USNG layer and a EPA RadNet layer. So I want you to turn those both on, and I'll go over what each of those mean right now. So the EPA RadNet layer is a near real-time monitoring results for individual RadNet air monitor locations operated by the Environmental Protection Agency. So if you click on any of those locations, you can view the detailed readings from that location. So for example, I'm going to click this one right here, and I can open this to view more details. So I can see that it was started October 23rd, 2008, and currently there's over 78,000 readings associated with this location. Okay, and then I also displayed the United States National Grid layer, which you can use for your reference, but it's there if you need it. Okay, I'm just going to now disable both of these layers for now, just to sort of clean up our map a little bit. Okay, now I want you to turn on your GIS layer. Okay. So if I open this, we can see that we can either choose files that have already been uploaded into RadResponder, or we can upload our own. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to upload a Rascal file, and I'll show you what that would look like in case you wanted to utilize this GIS option. Okay, so I'm going to go to my desktop, Rascal, upload. Okay, I'm going to enable the Rascal file by checking that box right here. I'm going to zoom in on my map so you can see it a little clearer, but this Rascal file is situated right above Columbus, Ohio. We can see what that looks like. So just as a note, when you do upload Rascal files into RadResponder, unless you specifically associate a styling with the Rascal file, it may not show up exactly how you made it into RadResponder. So it's a good idea to really test out your files and how they transfer. So there's an example of an uploaded Rascal file. Now I can also choose files that have already been uploaded into RadResponder, such as these USNRC power reactors. So we have them available for each region. So I'm going to activate region 2. Hit continue. Our bar is uploading, and here we are. So I can choose any of the sites that I want to upload, or excuse me, to show on the map. I believe these are all in the south, so let's zoom out and go. Okay, so I've activated some of the sites to show up here. I can also choose if I want to display the 10-mile EPZ or the 50-mile IPZ for each, or for only one of them. I can do all of them, up to you. But these are all preloaded into RadResponder, so you will all have access to do this to follow along. Okay. So that's your GIS files in a nutshell right here. You can also manage them by using the settings bar. I also want to point out that you can download what's on RadResponder externally. So you can download a KML export or a shapefile export. Okay, I'll quickly note this map options here. So if you want this map to auto refresh when new data is entered, I would toggle that on so you're always up to date while you're on your browser looking at the event map. Now scrolling up to the very top, I want to open up this filters tab here. And this is going to enable us to filter the data that we see based on either the readings. We only want to see a reading from a specific individual or field team, only something from the last 2 hours, etc. The limits to your imagination with the different filters and the layers. So let's just go over some of them. So for this date range right here, we have some preset filters. So if you want to see data collected from the last 6 hours, 24 hours, etc., you can select any of these here. You can also click custom date and you can enter your own start and end date. So if I want to see everything from March 1st till now, I can select that here. Okay, and we recently had a training in Columbus last week or so, so that's why that's so high. Okay, I can also choose to only see readings from a specific organization. So I'm going to use Ohio. Oh, they weren't on here.
It's Cambridge.
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly which organizations are on here, but for example, you can type in the organization that you know has inputted data, and you can filter only seeing them. Personnel, you can do the same thing, and also with field teams. Okay, you can also filter based on assessment flags. So if you want to see readings that have no equipment selected, you can enable that here. Okay. We also have advanced filters up here. So let's open that right now. And from these advanced filters, you can decide to only view different types of surveys, sample spectra at different thresholds. So for example, if I only want to see field surveys with the medium to very high severity level, I can select that here. I can even do the raw values if I wanted. Similar to field samples and spectra, you can determine which type of sample you want to see, if there's results or not, spectra, assessment status, and you can choose to see different facilities. Okay. So we also have this handy clear all filters at the top here. So if I click that, everything's going to go back to where it was before. So if there's something on here that you should be seeing and you're not, chances are you may have an applied filter. Okay. I also want to quickly note out this quick filters at the top. So these are some preset filter combinations that you can use, such as show data from the last hour, show only approved surveys, which is right here, show only samples with results, etc. So use these how you wish, but then there's also that clear all filters here and the show all data. So these are two very helpful options that we have. Okay. So that was sort of a brief overview of all the different map layers and filters that we have on this RadResponder event map. So like I mentioned earlier, every event that you create in RadResponder will have a corresponding map. And it's up to you to choose which filters and layers you want to apply to show what best suits your needs. So the scenario for the event at the event creation level, like we mentioned earlier, you can enable those RDD layers or those NPP layers. And by utilizing those various layers and filters, you can display that information that you need to show your incident command or your leadership. It's also a great tool for situational awareness, where you can see where and when new data is inputted, and also where your responders are if you are utilizing that responder tracking tool. So I'm going to pause now and see if we have any questions regarding the webinar. But before we do that, I quickly want to show you in the resource library where we are uploading these special feature webinars, so you can go back and reference. So if you click on the resources at the top under documents, we have the special feature webinars folder highlighted. So if you just open that, that's where the special feature webinar will be uploaded in the next day or so, like I mentioned earlier. We will also be posting the slides, and the video will also be on YouTube. So be sure to check out our social media pages to see when they are posted and are available. So if you have any other questions, please email support@radresponder.net. But for now, I want to open up this webinar to discussion. So if you want to utilize that raise your hand feature, we can unmute you to ask your question, or if you want to type something in the question and answer box, you can also ask your question there. So if you don't have any questions, thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. So we have a question here about editing our drawings, such as our polygons, and moving those points. So let me go back into the map, and I can show you how to do that. So once your drawing is created, you can't go and move those points, but let's open this and I'll show you. So once our drawing is saved, there's only a couple things I can edit, which is the sharing mode or the name. However, you can't move those points after your polygon has been created. What I would suggest, though, if you need to move something around, is keep the original drawing and then sort of draw over it where you need to adjust, save it, and then delete your previous one. But like I mentioned, once it is saved and created, you can't move your points around.